Okay guys, we were heading off on a ride after we fixed the side-by-side the other day. We had an axle come out. It seemed like the outside was seized up, so we ordered a new axle and we put in it. And get dust off you. We ordered a new axle, we put in it. Well, it seems that the outside CV joints don't float on these. So the new one was the same. It didn't pull in and out. So anyways, we went ahead. I put the new one in anyways because I got it. And me and Randy went tearing around the desert yesterday and it was fine. Up in the hills. We're supposed to go on a big ride this morning with 2 or 3 other, 4 other guys, whatever it was there. I don't know, 5 maybe. Doesn't matter. The axle come out again, tearing down the road. So we're headed there, and all of a sudden she takes off. Because when one axle comes out, she takes off in a swerve. So we got back home here, canceled our ride, got back to the camp. We got the axle back in and seated it with a hammer, making sure it was seated. And we took it out for a rip down the road again, because we were trying to figure out why this axle come out. And it come out again going down the road at 55 miles an hour. So it's walking out of the transmission because the clip inside is not holding. So this time we're going to tear it all apart again and see if we can't figure out what's keeping that clip from seating. It's right here in the tranny. You see the end of the axle, it's pulled out again already. So we're going to tear this thing apart, and at least now we have a place to investigate, which is inside that tranny for the clip, if it's worn or what, and figure out how we're gonna keep it from pulling out. Okay, till we get there.
You got something to mix it on?
No. Okay, so we're knee deep in this thing again. We got her all apart. So in there, you probably can't see it very well, but there's a ring, a groove, that the groove on the axle, the ring on the axle, sorry, fits into. So this ring seats into that groove inside the tranny, and that's supposed to hold this from floating back and forth, make the CV do the floating. But for some reason it must be worn enough. The new axle made no difference, and it still popped out of the tranny side. So we're guessing, we did a little test. And we're guessing, because it's on the flat surface on the highway, 55 mile an hour, that walks out of there. We tore around yesterday up in the desert going slow, rock climbing, stuff like that. It wasn't an issue. It never come out. But on the highway, the speed, it must walk that CV back, and that clip's not holding. So we got it back in earlier. We took it for a test down the highway, and the exact same thing happened. It walked out. We checked it when we pulled out onto the highway. We stopped and made sure, and it was good. And then we whipped down the highway, got her up to 55, 60 mile an hour, took her back down 55, and all of a sudden you could tell as soon as it comes out, because she wants to swerve one way. So we stopped and it was popped out again. So that clip is not holding into the rear, into the transmission. And it didn't matter if it was a new clip or not, because we put in a new axle and it did the same thing. It doesn't look horrible in there, but we can't truly see it. But it's got to be minutely worn enough that is causing the problem. I'm not pulling the tranny apart in this thing, especially out here in the desert. So we're going to try a trick that we were told from another gentleman. Put a little JB weld around her in that ring and stick her back in there and let her sat. So that is not my preferred repair method, to be honest. But out here in the desert, we don't have a lot of other options. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to mix up some JB. We're going to put in that groove. And the same with on the axle. I'm going to use the old axle and keep my new axle for a spare. And if we got to get deeper into her when we get home, at least we'll have a new axle. But anyways, we're going to try it, see what happens. Cross our fingers that that works, because everything else is fine. It just that clip won't hold. So here goes nothing. So we've got her apart again. There's the axle. There's our JB. And we're going to get at her. Okay? We'll keep you posted with the update once we get her all back together, because it's got to sit for the day, and see if it works. Till then. Okay guys, just want to give you a little update on this CV axle in the KRX. As you've seen, we had it all apart and we were going to put some JB weld in our holder, so that's exactly what we did. I did just a minimal amount of JB weld in around the ring itself, and we snapped it back in, allowed it to set overnight in the hopes that once the JB weld set in there with the snap ring snapped out into that groove in the tranny, that would hold it from being able to collapse and pull the axle back out. I know it's not the proper way, and I also know it might make it a little tougher if we have to get it apart in the future, but we tried to keep the JB to a minimum just to try and get us through this year down here. Hopefully it won't be any more problem and I won't have to worry about it until come such time to change an axle. So a little update is that we've been out on 4 or 5 rides since we fixed it. Climbing rocks, desert running, gravel, rock, mountain, climb, all kinds of different things. Back up and down the highway, 55, 60 mile an hour. And to this point, so far, we're getting near to the end of our stay down here, and it has not been no more problem. So for that, we're kind of thankful. If you guys are lost somewhere back in, like we are in the desert here somewhere, and you have this issue, maybe that'll help you out to continue your ride, or at least get you out of wherever you are. I'm sure I'll hear about some people saying that's not the way to fix something, and I agree 100%. It's not the way to fix something, but it's got us by, and so far has worked pretty good. So if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. And this time for us, it worked. And that's all we got to say about that for now. If ever is a future issue, we'll probably do another video on it to let you know how long it lasts and what made it come apart. But right now, it's working. We're able to ride. Until the next one, that's all.